But you were at the rally. What happened over there?
Well, I went over there and stood in the back, and then just stood up with this sign, and people came over to me and they said I was ignorant, and I said, well, it's a very simple sign. It just says starving Palestinians is not my Judaism. And they got very angry at me, and I said, but I can't believe that starving Palestinians is your Judaism. And they called me ignorant, and then they called the police to come and and escort me out. Evidently, this message, this rally across the street is sponsored by the Jewish Federation and the Jewish United Fund, and evidently they find a sign that says starving Palestinians is not my Judaism. They find that somehow offensive, as if starving Palestinians is their Judaism. I don't understand it, because this is not the Judaism that I was raised with. So I was asked to come over on this side because this is where the counter protesters are. I just wanted to take my spot in the Jewish community and with a very simple message that I thought everybody would agree with. I mean, I can't believe that starving Palestinians is their Judaism, but they asked me to leave, so I don't know. I'm kind of confused by it, to be honest. I mean, I hope they don't really feel that way. I know Israel feels that way. I mean, Israel is starving Palestinians. Now, Israel doesn't stand for Jews. I mean, they like to say they do, but they don't. They don't speak for me. So I'm just kind of confused as to why they wanted to kick me out. So I'm over here.
How about the role of the Senate in the recent votes? The Senate votes as far as
what's there to say? Evidently, they believe in starving Palestinians, right? I just think it's a very simple statement, and I'm sure the Senate would be very upset with this as well, because after all, it's the United States that's starving Palestinians as well as Israel. Their talking points is Israel wants peace. Israel left Gaza. The Palestinians have never, attempted to establish a government and institutions and all this nonsense. Okay. When Israel left Gaza, they left a swath of destruction, and they immediately closed the borders and started to starve people. In fact, Dov Weissglass, the spokesman and advisor to the Israeli government, said, quote, "We're going to send them to a dietitian." Okay. So they say, look, what would we do if bombs were being dropped on us, right? This famous, quote from Obama, right? Paraphrasing. I know what I would do, if my daughters were being bombed, right? Well, of course, you see what happens when people are bombed. People are being bombed in Gaza, and you see how they react. The bombing did not begin by Hamas, it began by the Israeli government on November 4th. They went in and they murdered Palestinians. Why? Because they wanted a reaction from Hamas. Why? So they could have this little war that they're having now. It's very sinister. The other talking points, that Israel wants peace. The leaders of Israel don't want peace. The leaders of Israel want war. If they wanted peace, they could have peace anytime they wanted it. But they don't. They want a permanent war. Why do they want a permanent war? Because it's good for the military elites who are running the country, and it's good for the economic elites who have imposed neoliberal economic policies which has impoverished the people. the neoliberal economic policies have completely dismantled the social safety net that used to protect all Israelis. Now, Israel has one of the greatest disparities between rich and poor. Who are the people living in Sderot who are being bombed? They're poor Jews who have been put there by the Israeli government, intentionally to be targets. The talking point that Palestinians have never bothered to establish their own state and their own institutions. Well, this is nonsense. In 2002, Israel invaded the West Bank and completely pillaged, smashed Palestinian civil society. Right? There were all kinds of institutions. They had a Department of Labor, Department of Education, Department of Health. All of these were trashed by the Israeli government. Their health department, their computers were stolen. Right? This nonsense that Palestinians have never, established, their own institutions. It's just nonsense. I'll repeat what I said before to you privately. We Jews are among the greatest myth makers in history. We're not the only myth makers, right? The Greeks, wonderful myths, right? But the thing about our myths is there are two things. One, people still believe them, which is just amazing. And two, these myths keep getting created, right? The myth that Israel wants peace, right? And people buy it. People believe these myths. It's just, it's amazing. There's my rant.
Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom Aleichem.
Well, you want to take a break?
Yeah. Thanks. And this is a much nicer event than the one where I saw you last, isn't it? First of all, it's for justice, right? So, in that, it's a better demonstration. Secondly, there are a lot more people of color here. And third, I think it's bigger. So, all in all, this is better than the Stand With Israel. That's just my personal assessment. I don't wrap myself in the Israeli flag. I don't wrap myself in the American flag. I wrap myself around these signs.